Hey there. I thought I'd just make this video about this kind of a macro look at why it is that people are so often misdiagnosed or undiagnosed with who have myocardial bridges. How come they get diagnosed with other things so much? And so this is just a way to think about it, which might be helpful. So I'm in front of a Whole Foods here, Whole Foods parking lot in Flagstaff, Arizona. So there's something in I'm really into human traits and career design and stuff like that, getting people matched with their careers and everything correctly. Anyways, long story short, there's a natural ability called diagnostic reasoning. There's two types of reasoning. There's diagnostic reasoning and analytical reasoning. Just bear with me if this sounds like mumbo jumbo. So analytical reasoning is the usual type we use in school, where you have it's from whole to part, meaning you learn the field. You learn all about biology, how the cell works, and the pieces and the parts. You know all that stuff, right? It's kind of your textbook learning. Learn the law in law school. You learn about medicine in medical school, right? Analytical reasoning, understanding the whole, and then you can find and break it down into parts. You can analyze it. The flip side of that, which is another type of reasoning, which is also very important, is diagnostic reasoning. And diagnostic reasoning is working from the part to the whole, not from the whole to the part. So it's basically like, in some ways, it's the ability to see what stands out, and to critique things, which means you can see what's different about things, not just what's negative, but like think of a food critic, somebody who sees what's good, what's bad, what's just different about this restaurant, this food, right? Or like the guy Simon Cowell on whatever that show is, the America's Top Voice, whatever it is, He sees what's good, what's bad. He's a very critical person because he has very, very high diagnostic reasoning. Because the people with high diagnostic reasoning, they see the clues. You could call it clue spotting. They notice the clues. They pick up the clues. Read the clues. Sherlock Holmes, right? The true pioneers in the world, like there's the guys who make discoveries and stuff, usually have both. Like the guys who buzz through problems like a chainsaw, like your Elon Musk, your Bill Gates, your super problem solvers. They have both really high analytical and really high diagnostic reasoning because they understand the field, just like Elon Musk understands computers and technology. But then they also, when things come up, like especially when you're starting a business, lots of crazy stuff happens, you spot the clues quickly. So those are the people that can buzz through problems. They're really good problem solvers. They have both types of problem solving reasoning, analytical and diagnostic. Okay, why am I telling you this? Because in medicine, a lot of medicine revolves around, in the actual office itself, right? There's a lot of diagnosing that happens, right? To be diagnosed with a myocardial bridge, meaning somebody spotted the clues, right? So there's two things that have to happen there, really, to get diagnosed properly. One, somebody has to have high enough diagnostic ability to be able to spot the clues. Patients, like if you have a cat in front of you, the cat, something's wrong with the cat. I don't know what's wrong with the cat, doc. And the veterinarian looks at it, he's got to be able to see the paw has a little blue tinge to it. That means he has this disease. You got to be able to know, not only spot the clues, but you also have to then know what the clues mean. This is the point of the video. You can't just diagnose meaning spot the clues. You got to you can't just spot the clues. You have to diagnose it properly. But for that, you need enough analytical reasoning to know the field, to know where this clue fits that you're looking at within the larger field, how it fits within all the breakdown of the entire field. And this is the problem, because you have doctors looking at CT scans and casts and all this stuff, and if they don't, they may be able to pick things up, but if they don't know, there's two things actually. A, they may be able to have high diagnostic reasoning and pick up the clues, but they don't know what the clues mean if they haven't studied bridges properly and what the signs are for bridges, right? In other words, how can you read the signs for bridges properly if you don't know what the signs are? That's a huge problem right there. There are a lot of the radiologists and the cardiologists doing the caths and CTs. They don't actually know all of the signs of a myocardial bridge. And what actually I've noticed happens a lot is they know a couple, But they don't understand that bridges comes in different shapes and sizes. They don't all have this huge milking effect that you sometimes see, and sometimes that's elusive because you have a cath image is actually a video, is a 2D shot of a 3D reality, so the angle can make you not see the squeezing enough. So there's about 4 or 5 signs of bridges, and a lot of the doctors maybe know 1 or 2. They're not picking up the other ones. So that's one thing. If you could be good in diagnostic reasoning naturally, but not know enough to do it right, and not know and have the training to do it right. And then the flip side of that is that some doctors I guess they're not cut out for medicine, or they're in there, but they're not really cut out for it. They don't have the diagnostic reasoning that you need. There's a few doctors like that too. Maybe you're sort of run-of-the-mill. Just different doctors, they just get by with the usual treatments. They just kind of read the scats and do the same old. But the guys who are super diagnostic, they're the ones who are willing to see what's really unusual and unique about this patient, this person right in front of me right now, and this image. Okay, that's what you want. I'm personally pretty high in both, but I know people who are like sky high in diagnostic, and I know people who are sky high in analytical. It's rare to have somebody sky high in both. But like I said, those people who are sky high in both are your super problem solvers. You know what I mean? So what happens if somebody they have good diagnostic ability naturally, but they don't have the training? They don't have the analytical background or the training in the field to know what these clues they're looking at mean. Well, you get misdiagnosed, right? Because they're saying, oh, well, you have this, this, and this. But yeah, I know that, but that's not what that means, right? That's not what those clues mean. You're reading the clues wrong. You're seeing the clues, but you're missing them. That doesn't mean what you think it means. This happens all the time on our site. We have people come in, well, my doctor saw this and said this. Yeah, he's sort of right if that meant this, but it doesn't, because he doesn't understand that that's only a piece of this other thing over here, right? So this is the problem. You can have, and a lot of these doctors are so, they are smart. Some of them are really good in diagnostic reasoning in general, but that can be, your own ability can be a hindrance, because it makes them think that they know it all already. But they don't realize they got to go back to square one on bridges and bone up on it and read about the stuff. Because otherwise, they're going to be using like their own knowledge, which is not enough, and thinking that they know it all, and then basically projecting diagnosis onto you that's not there. They're projecting what they want, with what they think, based on the limited knowledge they have, onto you. And so that's the big thing. When people are smart, quote unquote, when they have high diagnostic, high analytical ability, they often are so used to that working for them. It worked for them in school and everything was set up for them, but it doesn't always work in the real world, where weird stuff comes into your office every so often, and you have to be ready for it. So this is why, again, if your doctor's telling you, hear people all the time post this, say, well, the doctor's saying this, this, and this. It doesn't matter how, quote unquote, smart your doctor is. It matters how smart they are and how well trained and informed they are. Because if they don't have the training and they're not informed, it's actually going to be worse than a normal doctor, than a less smart doctor. Because they're going to be so sure about their diagnosis, but so wrong about it. That's a good thing to remember.